This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Agun Erev Shabbos, as we prepare for Shabbos Parshas Seitzei, the Arizal reveals to us something astounding. We're all familiar with the idea that if someone violates a law in the Torah administers and legislates a punishment of lashes, malchus. How many lashes? 39. The Gemara tells us, Lametes malchus. And yet the Torah does not offer us an explanation as to what is the significance of the number 39. Why 39 malchus? Says the Arizal in the Sefer Halikutim on Parshas Toldos, an amazing secret. Says the Arizal. Now when Adam Arishon ate from the Eitz Hadas, he caused a sum total of 39 curses. Lametes curses. 10 to him, 10 to Chava, 10 to the Nachash, to the snake, and 9 to the Aretz, the earth. 39 malchus correspond to the 39 curses that were caused by Adam Arishon. The source of the Arizal is the Zohar HaKadosh on Rus, Daf Ayin Tes Tor Dalet, who describes that when God created Adam Arishon, the Samach Mem, the angel of Esav, the angel of death, was jealous of Adam Arishon's greatness and how all the angels were attending to his needs, and this disturbed the Samach Mem, the force of evil, the force of impurity. It disturbed him greatly. He was very jealous. So what did he do? Says Azayar, he took the Nachash, he took the snake, he rode the snake like a camel, he got on the snake and he rode it like a gumel. He went down and persuaded Adam until Adam violated the command of God, whereupon 39 curses were issued. 10 to Adam, 10 to Chava, 10 to the Nachash, 9 against the earth, corresponding to the Lametes Malchus, the 39 lashes. This explains the number 39 on somewhat of a Kabbalistic level. However, on a rationalistic approach, on a rationalistic level, we still need to study and learn what is the significance of the number 39. And on this level, the Ramban provides us with a very insightful understanding. The Ramban explains that even though the Torah Sheba'al Peh tells us that there are 39 malchus, nevertheless, this is not the number, of course, that the Torah writes. The Torah Shebachsav in this week's Parsha says, Arboim Ya'akenu, you should give 40 lashes. What then is the significance of the number 40? Says the Ramban, there are two reasons. Number one, the Torah was given over the course of 40 days. Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai, Arboim Yom, V'Arboim Laila. And this person who violated an Avera incurred a punishment of lashes as violating the Torah that was given over 40 days. And therefore, says Ramban, he violated the Torah, he has to get 40 lashes. Says Ramban, another reason. Says Ramban, our tradition is, it takes 40 days to develop from one cell into a complete entity. It takes 40 days for Yitziras Havlad. This individual, by sinning, is corrupting himself, who Hashem had a trouble to create over the course of 40 days, and therefore he gets 40 lashes. So Ramban has given us two reasons for the number 40. Number one, the Torah was given in 40 days. You violate it, you have to get 40 lashes. Number two, the Neshama, the Adam, was created over the course of 40 days. He needs to get 40 lashes. Moira Rabbi, if I were to ask you what is worse, is it worse to violate and disgrace and desecrate the Torah? Or is it worse to desecrate oneself? Not to actualize one's potential. Instinctively we may think, of course it's worse to desecrate the Torah. What can be worse than violating the Torah? Do we have anything more holy in this world than the Torah Akdosha? We know if one sees the Torah fall on the floor, they are required to fast. Chas v'shalom, one sees the Torah burn, one is required to rise kriya, to tear kriya. The sanctity of the Torah Akdosha, we have nothing more sacred than the Torah, comes along the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer teaches us a monumental idea. It says the Chassam Sofer that there's actually a big difference between the two reasons provided by the Ramban. Whether the Malchus correspond to the 40 days the Torah was given, or do Malchus correspond to the 40 days it took to create the human, the Neshama. Says the Chassam Sofer, if Malchus, if the lashes correspond to the 40 days the Torah was given, we know the Torah was given over the course of 40 complete days, 40 whole days. In fact, that was the mistake of the Bnei Yisrael. They thought you only needed 39 and change. They were mistaken. They needed 40 complete days. So if lashes correspond to the giving of the Torah was given over 40 complete days, you need 40 complete lashes. And yet that's not what the Torah says. The Torah says 39 lashes. Why? Says the Chassam Sofer. Because if it corresponds to the 40 days that it takes to complete the fetus, the Neshama, we know it does not take 40 complete days to complete the Neshama. It's 39 and change. The first day, even though, first day, when it's not a complete day, because if the conception took place at night, there are hours missing from the completeness of the day. Says Chassam Sofer, if lashes correspond to the 40 days of the formation of a fetus, you don't need 40 days, 40 complete days to complete a fetus. You also don't need 40 complete lashes. Says Chassam Sofer, the fact that we administer 39 Malchus and not 40 means the primary punishment is for corrupting the Neshama, which was formed over 39 days, more so than for violating the Torah, which was given over the course of 40 days. Why do we give the punishment for the corruption and the desecration of the Neshama, and not the violation of the Torah? Says Chassam Sofer, because we apply the great principle, Kim le b'derabamine, which means that when we have to administer two punishments, when someone incurs two einshim, we only administer the more severe one, and you're exempt from the more lenient one. Therefore, says Chassam Sofer, why do we administer 39 Malchus? Why do we administer the punishment of 39? Because when we study this person's offense, the desecration of the Neshama, the crime that this individual has committed against himself, the disgrace and corruption that he has brought against his own soul, is far worse, much more egregious than the disgrace that he brought against the Torah. Says Chassam Sofer, as disgusting as it is to defile the Torah, it is worse to defile the Neshama. As great and as holy and as sacred as the Torah is, there is something greater, holier, and more sacred, and that is the Jewish soul. An astounding thought, that as holy as the Torah is, the Neshama is even holier. How can this be? It seems almost sacrilegious. Do we have anything more than the Torah? Isn't the Torah the Devar Hashem? Isn't it a reflection of God and the will of God? And yet we learn that the Neshama is even more holy. Because while the Torah is the will of God, the Zohar HaKadosh teaches us, and the Ramban quotes in Bereshis, the Neshama is a chelak elaka. It is a dimension, an actual piece of the divine. The Pasuk says, Vayipach bi'apav nishmas chayim, that God blew into our soul a living spirit. Says the Zohar, man denafach, one who blows from within oneself. The blowing comes from the air of the person who blew. And therefore the Neshama is kiviyachal, the breath of God, an inkling of the divine. And as bad as it is to desecrate the Torah, it's even worse to desecrate and not to actualize the potential of the Neshama. And if you tear Kriya, if you see a Sefer Torah burning, how much pain should one be in if they see the Neshama being desecrated? The saintly Chafetz Chaim used to give a Musar Shmuz, an ethical discourse, to a small group of Talmidim, to a small group of students every Friday night, between Mincha and Marav in his home. About 25 Bachram would come, and they would gather to hear the precious words of the Chafetz Chaim. One Friday night, Chafetz Chaim began his discourse by telling the Bachrim that he has a secret to reveal to them. However, he cannot just reveal it in the context of the regular Friday night Shiur, but instead they would have to return to his home at midnight, at which point the Chafetz Chaim would reveal to them a sod, a great secret. Word went out that at midnight the Chafetz Chaim was going to reveal a great secret, and the news spread like wildfire. The whole yeshiva was buzzing with the news. The balabatim were buzzing. People literally could not go to sleep. They were so excited. Others asked their friends to wake them up. As midnight approached, the house of the Chafetz Chaim was filling up to capacity. It was brimming. The surrounding courtyard of the Chafetz Chaim was overflowing with people. As the clock struck 12, the Chafetz Chaim began. He said the following words: Elokai, my soul, my God, Neshama shenasata bi, the soul that you gave me, Tahirahi, it is pure. Chafetz Chaim continued, Ata barasa, God, you are the one who created it. Ata yatzarta, God, you were the one who fashioned it. V'ata nafachta bi, you, God, blew it into me. V'ata mishamra b'kirbi, you, Ribono Shel Olam, you protect it within me. And now the Chafetz Chaim sighed, and the people shuddered. V'ata asid litla mimeni, the day will come that you will take it away from me. And everyone was wondering, what's the big secret of the Chafetz Chaim? It's a bracha. He's just saying over the bracha that every Jew says every day. And then the Chafetz Chaim called out in a stirring voice, Ulahachzira bi, you will return it to me. And he repeated again, Ulahachzira bi, you're going to return it to me. Ulahachzira bi, and the Chafetz Chaim repeated again and again, Ulahachzira bi, Ulahachzira bi, Ulahachzira bi, you will return it to me. And the Chafetz Chaim explained that it doesn't say Ulahachzir li Neshama, it doesn't say, God, you will return a soul to me, but rather Ulahachzira bi, with a mapik hey, a possessive hey, which means that that very same Neshama, the same soul that we use during our lifetime, in whatever state it was in upon our demise, on whatever level it was on, that is exactly how the Ribono Shel Olam will return our neshamas to us, in the exact same state. That is the way the neshama will be forever and ever, for all eternity. If chas v'shalom we've defiled our neshama, Hashem will return to us a defiled neshama. And that's the way our neshama will remain forever. However, if we kept our neshama pure and pristine, God will return to us a pure neshama. Whereupon the Chafetz Chaim began to cry, Ulahachzira bi, Ulahachzira bi, Ulahachzira bi, that the neshama is returned in the same state that it was taken away. That is what the Torah is teaching us. Because as devastating as it is to desecrate the Torah, so it's even more devastating to desecrate the neshama. And that is why we are so fortunate. Ribono Shel Olam has given us the great gift of tshuva, that we could purify our neshamas to the pristine form that they were in when Hashem gave them to us. And thereby, when Hashem returns our souls to us one day, la'aseh we will all be zoicha that a pure neshama is the way Hashem will return our souls to us. La'aseh wishing you all a good Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.